Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at Web3 Wire and Crypto Slate, unpacking some of the biggest tech and market trends.
Yeah. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it does. I mean, everywhere you look, it seems like every other headline is about market growth. Like, is it real?
I think, there's a lot of reasons to believe that this is not just hype. We're seeing this incredible surge in digitalization and automation. Everyone wants more efficiency.
Yeah, I see that. So like Web3 Wire is predicting that the hardware and the loop market is going to like explode by 2030.
Yeah.
And you've got big players like Siemens and DSpace really getting in on this.
Right. And, this hardware in the loop, it's a way to simulate real world conditions, but for testing products.
Oh, interesting.
So rather than take a car for a test drive,
Right.
you can run simulations for software, for hardware, countless scenarios.
But you're saying like we're talking about like virtual crash tests
Yeah, exactly.
for like everything, like cars, I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe spaceships? I don't know.
Who knows? And this isn't just for the big expensive products, right? It's used to test and refine everything, like washing machines.
Wow.
Smartphones. It really does, I think, affect the reliability and safety of the stuff we use every day.
It makes you wonder like how much of like, the stuff that we have has been through this kind of rigorous testing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, speaking of things that are changing how we live, how we connect to the online world, there was a headline that caught my eye. Fiber to the home market is booming worldwide, according to Web3 Wire.
Right.
We're seeing these major telecom companies, I'm talking AT&T, Rogers, TELUS,
Yeah.
making these huge investments in this fiber optic infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when fiber internet sounded like something out of, science fiction.
Yeah, for sure.
And now it's becoming the standard.
It is becoming the new standard for sure. And it's interesting because it's so much faster, right?
Yeah.
Like you get significantly faster speeds. The reliability is just off the charts compared to, old school cable internet.
Right.
And it seems like it's becoming essential as we, work remotely more and more. We're streaming video, we're playing games online. All these things need, serious bandwidth.
Exactly. Yeah.
But my question is, hold on, how realistic is it that it's going to completely replace, like, cable internet?
Right.
Especially in areas where cable's already there.
Yeah.
Like, it's expensive
Right.
to lay all that new stuff.
That's a really good point. I mean, the cost is certainly a barrier. I mean, especially for rural areas.
Yeah.
But the demand for this faster internet, I think, is only going to grow, right? So I think a lot of experts believe that it's just a matter of time before fiber is, the dominant form of internet access.
I think it's like kind of like what we saw with the transition, like from dial-up to broadband. We all grumbled about the cost. We grumbled about the disruption.
Right.
But in the end, I think we all embrace the upgrade.
Yeah.
And this transition to fiber, it's going to have these ripple effects throughout society, I think.
Yeah.
Like, telehealth, online education. I mean, even, virtual reality experiences. This all relies on, fast, stable connections.
Yeah, so
It's really quite mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But let's not forget about, the potential downsides of all this connectivity.
Right.
The more connected we are, the more vulnerable we are to, cyber attacks. And Web3 Wire had this report on the critical national infrastructure cybersecurity market that I thought was really, kind of a sobering picture.
Yeah.
It's growing at an alarming rate. Is that alarming in a good way or a bad way?
I mean, I think, unfortunately, it's both. The good news is that, we've got companies like Cisco and CyberArk, and they're developing really sophisticated solutions to protect our critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
The bad news is that the cyber criminals are also becoming more sophisticated.
Oh, right.
So it's a constant arms race. So it's not just about protecting our data anymore.
Right.
We're talking about hackers potentially disrupting essential services like power grids, transportation systems, even healthcare facilities.
Yeah, that's right. It's a reminder that this isn't just an IT issue anymore. It's national security.
Right.
And it's something that I think everyone needs to be more aware of.
Yeah. It sounds like a good time to double check our own cybersecurity practices.
Yeah, absolutely.
Strong passwords, two-factor authentication, just being, wary of phishing scams. It seems like that's more important than ever.
Absolutely. And I don't, I think it goes beyond just the individual responsibility, right?
Sure.
Governments and businesses need to work together to develop these really robust cybersecurity strategies to, protect this critical infrastructure, right? It's a big task, but a necessary one. Okay, let's shift gears for a second and talk about another market that's experiencing explosive growth. Um, Web3 was reporting that the market for power generation, transmission, and control equipment is expected to reach, like, almost $700 billion by 2029.
Yeah.
Like, that's a staggering number.
It is. And I think if you kind of connect it back to the bigger picture, it makes sense, right? Global energy demands are increasing.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're seeing this global push for renewable energy sources.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we're trying to meet this growing need, but at the same time trying to transition to cleaner sources.
Yeah. No wonder the power generation market is booming.
Exactly. And this transition requires, massive investments in new technologies, solar panels, wind turbines, smart grids, energy storage solutions.
But isn't this, like, transition to renewable energy going to take decades?
Right.
How can we be sure that this growth in the power generation market is sustainable, like, in the long run?
Yeah, that's the billion-dollar question.
Yeah.
There are challenges, of course, things like resource availability, environmental impact, even the reliability of these renewable energy sources.
Right.
But the demand is there. The technology is rapidly advancing.
This whole, energy transition is fascinating. It's this massive undertaking with huge implications for the future of, well, I mean, our planet.
Right.
It makes you wonder, what role will technology play in addressing some of the other, grand challenges, like, that are facing humanity?
That's a great question. And it brings us to another hot topic that's been generating a lot of buzz, blockchain gaming.
Oh, yeah.
CryptoSlate had a piece predicting that the blockchain gaming evolution will take center stage in 2025.
Okay, I have to admit, I'm still a bit fuzzy on this whole blockchain gaming thing. Like, can you break it down for me?
Sure. So at its core, blockchain gaming uses, cryptocurrency and NFTs
Right.
to give players more ownership and control over their in-game assets. It's really about bringing the concept of, true digital ownership to the world of gaming.
Oh, so instead of just, earning virtual gold or collecting digital items that, in the end belong to the game developer,
Right.
players can actually, like, own and trade these assets.
That's the idea.
Oh,
So, imagine being able to truly own your in-game sword, your rare digital pet, even virtual land, and you can trade these assets with other players,
wow.
sell them on a marketplace, or even use them in other games.
That's a game changer. But, I mean, I can imagine that there's, there are going to be some people who are pretty skeptical of this whole thing.
Sure.
Sounds a bit like, the Wild West of finance.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. The blockchain gaming space is still pretty new, and there have been, some high-profile scams, some failures.
Right.
It's important to be cautious. Do your research before, investing in any blockchain gaming project.
Right.
But the potential for disruption, I think, is undeniable.
Yeah. And it's not just about changing the way we play games, is it? Like, this technology could have implications for, I mean, all sorts of digital content, like online experiences.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're already seeing the rise of, virtual concerts, digital fashion, even blockchain-based social media platforms.
Wow.
It's a rapidly evolving landscape, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
That's a lot to take in.
It is.
That's for sure.
It is. But that's why we're here, to help you navigate all this stuff. Let's switch gears for a second, talk about something that might seem a bit old school. Web3 had this report on the global outboard engines market.
Okay.
And it's actually seeing some significant growth, which is, kind of surprising given the push for electric vehicles these days.
Yeah, it seems a bit counterintuitive.
Right.
Like, why are outboard engines, booming when everything seems to be, going electric?
Well, there are a few factors, I think. First, the rising popularity of, recreational boating, fishing. It's driving demand for, these reliable engines. More people are getting out on the water.
Yeah.
And they need, powerful and efficient outboard motors to power their boats.
So it's like a leisure, like a lifestyle trend that's fueling this.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. There's also, a growing demand for commercial outboard engines, right? For fishing fleets, transportation, in coastal areas.
Okay.
And, while electric outboard motors are kind of starting to emerge,
Right.
they still haven't reached the power and range of their, gasoline-powered counterparts.
Interesting. It's a good reminder that, technological transitions don't happen overnight.
Right.
Like
No,
there's often this period of overlap
right.
where, these older technologies are coexisting with these newer ones.
Exactly. And the pace of that transition is often driven by, very practical considerations like cost, availability, the infrastructure.
Right. Speaking of transitions, let's talk about the ongoing evolution of software. Web3Wire also had a report on the productivity software publishing global market,
Okay.
and it's growing exponentially.
Well, it's not surprising when you think about how much we rely on software, to manage our work, our lives.
Oh, or sure. Right.
Email, calendars, project management tools, communication platforms, the list goes on. And the demand for these tools, I think, is only increasing, right, as we try to navigate this, increasingly complex world that we live in.
Yeah. But are we actually becoming more productive?
Right.
I mean, I feel like sometimes I'm drowning in apps and notifications.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm really getting more done.
That's a fair point. I mean, the growth of the productivity software market doesn't necessarily mean that we're all becoming more efficient, right? It's more about having the tools at our disposal to manage these, ever increasing demands on our time,
Right.
attention.
It's like a double-edged sword in a way. We have more tools to help us get things done, but we also have more distractions,
Right.
more information to process.
Exactly. And it's not just about individual productivity, right? Businesses are relying more and more on software
Okay.
to streamline operations, analyze data, automate tasks.
So it's a trend that's impacting both our personal and our professional lives.
Absolutely. And it's leading to the development of, increasingly sophisticated software solutions, particularly in areas like data analytics, customer relationship management, automation.
Speaking of things that are still relevant, Web3Wire also had this report on the printer global market.
Okay.
I thought we were all going paperless.
That was the dream, wasn't it? But I think the reality is that, printers are still pretty essential for a lot of businesses and industries.
Right.
And, while traditional printing might be, declining a little bit,
Yeah.
there are, new trends emerging, right?
Yep.
Like 3D printing, the rise of, these on-demand printing services.
So the printing industry is kind of like evolving rather than disappearing.
Exactly. It's having to adapt
Yeah.
and innovate, I think, to stay relevant.
Right.
And this adaptation is leading to some, interesting developments, especially in areas like material science and manufacturing processes.
Okay. So we've seen how technology is impacting like our homes, our workplaces, even, our leisure time.
Right.
But what about its role in healthcare?
Yeah.
We've already kind of touched on the potential for fiber internet to revolutionize telehealth.
Yeah.
But what other trends are emerging?
Well, one area that caught my eye was this report on the predictive maintenance global market,
Okay.
which is forecasted to reach over $33 billion by 2029.
Predictive maintenance.
Yeah.
That sounds intriguing. Can you explain that in simple terms?
Sure. So imagine if your car could, tell you that it needed an oil change
Right.
before the engine, blew up. That's essentially what predictive maintenance is all about. It uses, sensors and data analysis to predict when equipment is likely to fail.
Uh-huh.
So you can address the issue before it becomes a major problem.
Okay, so it's like preventative maintenance, but for machines.
Right. Exactly.
But how does this relate to healthcare?
Well, think about all the, sophisticated equipment that's used in hospitals.
Oh, yeah.
MRI machines, ventilators, heart monitors, the list goes on. So by using predictive maintenance, hospitals can ensure that this equipment is always functioning properly.
Right.
Which can be, a matter of life and death for patients.
Yeah.
It can also, help reduce costs, improve efficiency.
That makes perfect sense. It's about using data and technology to improve patient safety and healthcare outcomes.
Exactly. And this is just one example of how technology is transforming healthcare. We're also seeing the rise of things like artificial intelligence, machine learning being used to, diagnose diseases, develop new treatments, personalize patient care.
It's incredible to think about the possibilities. But it also, raises some ethical, some societal questions, doesn't it?
Of course.
Like, how do we ensure that these technologies are being used responsibly,
Right.
that they benefit everyone, not just a select few.
Yeah. That's a crucial question. And as with any, powerful technology, we need to be mindful of the potential downsides and make sure that it's being used ethically and equitably.
It sounds like there's a lot to discuss there about, the ethical implications of all these emerging technologies.
There is. Maybe that's a topic for another deep dive. But for now, let's continue our exploration.
Sounds good. What other trends have you been tracking?
One area that's been particularly interesting to me is the kind of the intersection of technology and education. Web3 Wire had this piece about the Platinum Rain Foundation and their new programs to empower future leaders. It got me thinking about, the evolving role that technology is playing, in shaping the next generation.
Yeah, it's not just about having, fancy gadgets in the classroom, is it?
Right.
It's about using technology to, create more engaging
Right.
and more effective learning
Right,
experiences.
exactly. And it's not just about formal education either, right? I mean, we're seeing this rise of online learning platforms, personalized learning tools
Right.
that allow people to, learn new skills, pursue their interests at their own pace.
It's like the democratization of knowledge, in a way.
Yeah.
Anyone with an internet connection
Right.
can access this world of information and learning opportunities.
That's the potential for sure. But of course, there are challenges, right? I mean, like ensuring equitable access to technology, addressing the digital divide, that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Absolutely. But overall, it seems like technology is giving us more tools than ever
Yeah.
to, learn and grow throughout our lives.
I agree. And that's ultimately what makes these deep dives so fascinating, right? It's not just about the latest gadgets or market trends.
Right.
It's about how technology is shaping our world and our future in these really profound ways.
So what's the big takeaway here? What should our listeners be thinking about as they, navigate this rapidly changing landscape?
I think the key is to, stay curious, stay informed, and stay adaptable,
Yeah.
right? The only constant in the tech world is change. So embrace it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to, experiment with new technologies, explore new ideas.
And don't forget to have some fun along the way.
Absolutely.
I mean, the technology is meant to enhance our lives, not complicate them.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'd leave you with this thought. What role do you want technology to play in your life?
Yeah.
How can you use it to, achieve your goals, connect with others, and make a positive impact on the world?
Those are great questions to ponder. Perhaps they'll inspire us to do another deep dive into one of these fascinating areas in the future.
Yeah, it's amazing how technology just seems to touch every aspect of our lives, from the way we work to the way we learn. And speaking of learning, it makes me think about the future of education.
It's a fascinating area. And it's not just about, putting the latest gadgets in the classroom. It's about, really rethinking the foundations of education in a world where, information it's everywhere.
So it's about moving beyond like the traditional model.
Right.
Just passively absorbing information.
Right.
And moving toward like a more active and personalized approach to learning.
Exactly. And technology can play a really powerful role in facilitating that shift by providing access to, this wealth of resources, connecting learners from all over the world, and enabling these new forms of collaboration, knowledge creation. It's exciting to think about the possibilities. Imagine a world where anyone, regardless of where they live, their socioeconomic background, can access, high-quality educational resources.
Right.
Connect with mentors and peers who share their interests.
That's the vision. And we're seeing glimpses of it already.
Yeah.
Online learning platforms, they're exploding in popularity.
Right.
Personalized learning tools are becoming increasingly sophisticated. I think the challenge now is, how do we make sure that these advancements benefit everybody?
Right.
Not just, a privileged few.
It's about bridging the digital divide and making sure that everyone has the opportunity to participate in this, new era of learning. It's a tall order, but technology can be a powerful tool for social change, right?
Absolutely. And it's not just about access to technology either.
Right.
It's about developing the skills and mindsets
Sure.
that are needed to thrive in this, rapidly changing world. Critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, adaptability. These things are more important than ever.
It sounds like we need to rethink not just the what of education, but also the how.
Precisely. It's not just about, memorizing facts and figures anymore.
Yeah.
It's about developing the ability to learn continuously, to adapt to new situations, and to solve problems creatively.
So what does this all mean for our listeners? What can they do to kind of embrace these changes and prepare themselves and their families for the future of learning?
Well, I think first and foremost, stay curious, right? I mean, the world is changing so rapidly, and the best way to kind of keep up is to be a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
So embrace these new technologies, explore different learning styles, and don't be afraid to experiment.
And remember, learning, it shouldn't be a chore. It should be an adventure. So find something you're passionate about
Right.
and dive in. You never know what you might discover.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind tour of the tech landscape, but hopefully it's left our listeners, feeling informed, inspired, and maybe even a little bit overwhelmed.
A little overwhelm is good. It means your mind is expanding, you're engaging with new ideas.
Right.
So embrace the discomfort, stay curious, and keep exploring.
And we'll be here to guide you along the way. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay curious.